afternoon, everyone. How are we doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. To start us here, we'll begin, as we do everything here at Xavier, we will begin with prayer. Leading us today is Father Xavier Catholic, who's with us. He's one of our featured speakers, so he will lead us in prayer. Father.
Thank you.
Let's pray in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege of this day of life and of faith. We thank you for this day in which we are called and invited to learn more about our faith, to learn more about you and your great love for us, and your desire for our sanctification and our growth in your love. We ask you to help us all to be open to what your Holy Spirit wishes for us to know, to learn, to experience, and especially to be strengthened by the gift of your faith and your hope and your love. Help us help our deacon in his presentation here, and all of us making presentations today and listening to them or experiencing them. May we always grow in our love for you and our desire to know, to discern, and to do your will for us in all things. We ask all this through Christ our Lord.
Amen.
The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Thank you, Father.
Okay, thank you, Father. I got a question for all of you. Does anyone here know what the mission or the mission statement of Xavier High School is? Does anyone know what it is? The mission of Xavier High School is what? I'm sorry, really good. Very good. To develop the total person in a Catholic environment. That's the mission of Xavier High School. And I was telling the group this morning, you would not believe how much time and energy and thought into that back when this school was first developed. But we're very proud of that. We're proud of the fact that every day here at Xavier you get that opportunity to develop your total person. So today, it's just an extension of that. It's an extension of the fact that you get to pick today some different topics to go over, to talk about, to listen to, some experts to listen to, and we're excited that you get that extension today to be able to do that. So let me ask you one more time. What is the mission of Xavier High School? Let's try that one more time. The mission of Xavier High School is what? Okay. So on that note, I'm going to introduce our featured speaker today, Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers. He's known around the world as the dynamic deacon. You will find out why here in a bit. He's one of the church's most sought-after speakers today. He travels across the country and around the world, talking at conferences and talking to high schools just like this. His education is tremendous. Listen to his background here. He holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in Economics and Business Administration from the University of Notre Dame, and he has a Master in Theological Studies from the University of Dallas. He has some radio shows. He co-hosts the Eternal Word television network's popular radio program, Morning Glory, and the national broadcast of Living Stones on Modern Day Radio. Deacon has also appeared as a guest on numerous other national, Catholic, and international radio programs, including Catholic Lives and Vocation Boom Radio. He's also on TV. In addition to that, he is the co-host of several popular TV shows on EWTN, and he's featured on the award-winning Christian Faith Formation program by Ascension Press. He's also an author. Deacon Harold is an author of the best-selling book, Behold the Man, A Catholic Vision of Male Spirituality. He's the co-author of Ignite, Read the Bible like never before, and he's written the acclaimed new book, Father Augustus Holden, The Slave Who Became the First African. He's married to his lovely wife, Colleen. They have 4 beautiful children. They live in Portland, Oregon. Deacon Harold is assigned to Immaculate Heart Catholic Church. Saints, please join me in giving a warm Xavier welcome to Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Brother. Okay. I'm going to take a little bit of a different track than what I did this morning. So this morning, the talk was why be Catholic, and what I did was I started with, well, if we're going to say why be Catholic, why should we believe in God at all? And then once I showed it was reasonable to believe in God from logic and reason alone, apart from faith, I said, okay, now, what about which God? Because you got Buddhist, Muslim, Hindu, so I made the case for Christianity. Then I made the case for why be Catholic. And it seemed to go well, but they were like, I don't know if they were tired or what, because I have twins that are seniors in high school this year, so I get it. And by the way, you should be grateful for doing, at least you're doing the hybrid, you're coming to school part of the day. In Oregon, private or public, no schools are meeting in person. It's all online. My son, who's 17, his words to me when he described it, because he wants to be in front of people, he said it was state-mandated prison on school. So at least you get to come. So I want to take a little bit of a different track. Now, my guess is this. When the restrictions are lifted about going to Mass, you're going to go to your parents and say, Mom, Dad, I really miss going to Mass. In fact, for all the weeks that we missed because we couldn't go because of COVID, let's go twice today on Sunday to make up for it. Can we do that, Mom? Please. Can we? How many of you are going to do that? Come on, come on. Yeah, let's be real. When most of you think about Mass, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Mass is an hour. Good. Very honest. Mass is an hour. What else comes to your mind? Mass is... Oh, come on. Let's be honest. And Mass is what? Boring. Now, why do you say Mass is boring? Because quite frankly, you don't know why you're there. Let's be real. You're there because Mommy and Daddy tell you need to be there. When you ask them why you're there, well, just as what we do. That's what Catholics do. We just go to Mass. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. What you have to understand is what any of that stuff up at that altar has to do with your life every day. So think about it like this. Now, I know we got some athletes in here because I'm looking up at the rafters in all kinds of sports. So I know that we got some athletes in here. Now, for you athletes, do you guys go to practice? Of course you do. What is the main purpose of practice? To get better. Very good answer, but wrong. Let me tell you why. When you go to practice, do you do the same drills and practice the same skills over and over and over and over and over and over again in practice? Why? I mean, how many people play soccer? Right? Do you just kick the ball once and go home? How about tennis? Do you hit a forehand then go home? How about football? You run one play then go home? No. Over and over and over again. Why? Think about it like this. Say you're playing soccer. You're in the game. Practice don't count. The game counts. The game is where they keep score. The game is where it matters. You're not in practice, you're in the game. You're playing soccer. The ball's coming to you. Do you have time to stop and think, here comes the ball. I must now blade my foot at a 45-degree angle. I must now kick the ball with such trajectory as to place the ball in front of my teammate, but not too far, or else it'll be offsides. You have time to think about that? No! So when you're in practice and you're doing over and over and over and over again, what skill are you trying to develop? What's the name for it? What are you trying to develop by doing those same drills and same skills over and over and over again? What's it called? Instinct? No. What you're doing, you're doing instinct. Your instincts and you're honing your instincts. Very good. But by doing those, what do you develop? There's a name for it. Muscle memory. Muscle memory. Because when you're in the game, you don't have time to think about what your body is doing. You don't have the time to think about your positioning. So the reason why you do those things 10,000 times in practice is that when you get into the game, you don't have to think. You just react. Developing the... My friends, mass is practice. Mass is practice. Guess what we do at mass? Don't we do the same things over and over and over and over again every week? We receive Jesus Christ. Word, sacrament. Word, sacrament. Because we're building spiritual muscle memory. Because where's the game, my friends? The game ain't in here. The game ain't in the church. The game is out there in the culture, where they're trying to tell you that boys can be girls and girls can be boys. Where they're trying to tell you that marriage is something else other than one man and one woman and any children they have together, which is the heart, the core, the center, the foundation, the nucleus of civilization, culture, and society. They're trying to tell you that old people aren't worth anything. If you're old and you're sick, like grandma, guess what? She's not very useful anymore. In fact, she's a burden because she's not producing anything. Where you get your value is if you're productive to society. If you're no longer productive, then you're a burden. You're a burden on your family, you're a burden on the healthcare system, you're a burden on society. We'll give you two choices. We'll kill you, euthanasia, or we'll give you medication to kill yourself, assisted suicide. That's the game out there. And that game, the culture, has one purpose and one purpose alone: to destroy your relationship with God. That's their goal. That's their purpose. That's who your enemy is. Your enemy is not the church. The church is trying to provide you with the spiritual muscle memory so you can go out there and win. Because I don't know about you, I hate losing. Now, I was an athlete myself in high school. I was a wrestler. My high school was run by Benedictine monks. They could not afford football. So I wrestled for 4 years. In fact, it's the only sport I ever did in high school. And in fact, I wrestled all year round. I did takedown tournaments and freestyle tournaments during the summer. And I wrestled and I was undefeated my senior year. Now, I was ranked that year #2 in the state of New Jersey. I'm going to tell you about my best match, what I consider my best match. It was the middle of the season. I was undefeated. I was wrestling another undefeated wrestler who's ranked #5. He was ranked lower than me, but in fact, my mother still had the clip from the newspaper, the sports section, that said that I was going to lose that match because that kid was bigger and stronger than me, which he was. Don't forget, Patterson East Side High School. It was an away match. We're wrestling in his gym. And of course, we're the featured match of the evening. So he comes out, the crowd is cheering. I come out, boo, boo. I'm like, oh, y'all shut up now. Let's go. Ready? Wrestle. Bam, and we're in it. Now, wrestling is 3 2-minute periods. At the end of the second period, I'm losing by a couple. That kid was hard to ride. Because you know what we call cock strong? You ever heard that expression before? You get a kid that's just like the Hulk. He was like that. Really strong. You can't muscle a kid like that. So I'm trying to be tactical here in how I'm going to approach this match. Because if I get sloppy, he's going to beat me, right? So I'm in referee's position at the start of the third period. I'm down. He's on top. I have a strategy. Now, the standard move that I would do is called the stand-up. So I would fire up to this position. I'd be blocking, taking his hand, peeling, creating space, cutting, and attacking. That's what I would normally do. That's not what I did this time. Now in wrestling, you know this, you stop moving. Amen? Never stop moving. So when the ref fired up to this position and I stopped moving on purpose. And you know what happened next? When I stopped moving, what did he do? What did he do? Yeah, he chopped me down and we rolled off the mat. So we go back to the center referee's position again. I look at coach. Coach is like, this means pick it up. I'm like, down again. Ref blows the whistle the second time. Ready, wrestle. Fire up to here again. I stop moving again on purpose. Again, chop me down, roll off the mat. We go back to the center. I look at coach. Coach is like, I'm like, third time. Now, I've wrestled this guy now for 4 minutes and 30 seconds. I know now, because he's on top, where his hips are going to be, where his center of gravity is going to be. He thinks I'm going to do a stand-up again. So I know he's automatically going into counter stand-up. When the ref blew the whistle the third time, I hit a crossover switch. He was not expecting it. When I did the crossover switch, his hips were open, his arms were open, perfect position. I chopped his right arm through his crotch. I grabbed it with my other hand, and I threw a half Nelson on him so deep, I was grabbing his chin from the other side of his face. And I began to crank the half. And when you crank that half, the more you crank it, the tighter it gets. And I cranked that half, nice and slow, so he could feel every ounce of pain as I was turning him on his back. And right before I decked him, I whispered in his ear, "Does your mother have a camera?" Boom! Pinned him. We get up. You know, my team is screaming at the other end of the mat. Ref raises my hand. Now, when we went back to the middle, he went to raise my hand. The kid started coming at me. The ref jumped in between us. I'm like, yeah. Because my attitude was, when I walked on that mat, nobody beats me. Nobody beats me. And that's your attitude when you walk out of Mass on Sunday. Nobody takes my faith from me. Not these atheists, not these agnostics, not these college professors with all these letters after their names. Nobody takes your relationship from Jesus Christ from you. That's your attitude, and that's what Mass prepares you for. Now, you may be saying to yourself, well, what about all the stuff that's going on in the church now? Look at the sex abuse scandals, for example. Now, before I started speaking and writing full time, I was a police and law enforcement for 23 years and a police chief for 11 years. Now, here's the analogy I would use. Say when I was a chief, one of my officers pulled a woman over for speeding. He's supposed to ask for driver's license, registration, proof of insurance. He goes to the window and he notices the woman is quite attractive. So he propositions her to get out of the ticket. She gets angry. She complains. She files a complaint. I suspend the officer so we could do a moral turpitude investigation. Now, it makes the 6 o'clock news. Somebody split the news. Now this officer pulled over this lady. He propositioned her. and people are angry and outraged, and rightly so, rightly so. Would your next thought be, well, I'm no longer going to stop at stop signs. I'm going to run every red light. I'm going to rob banks. I'm going to do all kinds of stuff because of that one officer did. I'm no longer going to follow the law. Would that be your next conclusion? No. Then why do we do it to the church? You know how many people, I'm going to leave the Catholic Church because of sex abuse. Show me where it says anywhere in the church teaching that that's okay. It doesn't. It doesn't. It's not okay. We forget that the people in the church, I don't care who they are, priests, bishops, we're all sinners in need of God's mercy. We're all sinners in need of God's mercy. We have to focus on the teaching, not the people who will fail us. We focus on the truth, the goodness, and beauty of the teaching, not the people. Let me give you another example. My book, as you heard mentioned, was on Father Augustus Tolton, the first black priest in the United States. He was born a slave in 1854. In fact, on his baptismal certificate, it says Augustus John Tolton, property of Stephen Elliott. Property, not person, property. His father escaped through the Underground Railroad to fight in the Civil War to free his family. He dies very early in the war. His wife then escapes with the young Augustus Tolton's brother and sister through the Underground Railroad to Quincy, Illinois. So now they're in the north, and they're Catholic. So they go to the German church, and they get there, and the priests and the nuns welcome them with open arms. But why didn't they stay? Because the parishioners had objections. Father, we're going to leave the church. We're going to take our kids out of school. We're going to stop giving money if they continue to worship here. They went to this church, the Italian church. They finally got to the Irish church. Father Peter McGurr said, I don't care what these people say, you're staying. And he took all the heat. He took all the gruff, and he said, I don't care, they're staying. They're Catholics, they're going to worship here. He let the young Augustus Tolton be an altar server, although black kids were not allowed to be servers back then. He said, I don't care, you're going to serve Mass. He noticed the young Augustus Tolton's devotion to the Eucharist. And he said, wow, this guy might have a vocation to the priesthood. So after he received his first communion confirmation, he said to young Augustus Tolton, you ever thought about becoming a priest? And he said, I could become a priest? And Father McGurr said, of course, why not? So Father McGurr helped them to apply to every seminary in the United States at that time. Every seminary, and every single one rejected him because he was black. Every single one. He almost gave up hope. But then when everybody else rejected him, the Vatican took him to be a priest. Now he thought that now he's trained in Rome, and he said it was the first place he ever been to where he felt like a human being, where people looked at him and they saw him. They didn't see a stereotype. They didn't see a color. They saw a person. He said it was the first place where he actually felt he was treated like a human being in Rome. He thought after all this training, they're going to send me to a mission country, like, one of the countries in Africa, or Borneo, or, someplace like that. Oh, they sent him to a mission country, back to the United States. In fact, back to Quincy, Illinois, the same town he grew up in. Now, the tables are turned. The parishioners now, because he's a priest, so they start going to his church for Mass. Oh, the white priest didn't like that. So they told the white parishioners that attended his parish, if you go to his church, it doesn't count for your Sunday obligation. Think about that for a second. It got so bad that he had to leave Quincy and he went up to Chicago, Illinois. The bishop up there said, come on, we could use you up here. And Father Augustus Tolton worked himself to death. He died in 1897. He was only 43 years old when he died. Now let me ask you, why did he stay in the church? Why? Think about it. If anybody had a good excuse to leave, it was him. And he stayed. What, was he crazy? you put up with all that racism, all that, and he stays in the church. Why? Because he understood. He said it. He didn't write very much. By the way, his cause for sainthood is open, and I helped with the documentation that went to Rome. So I'm kind of an expert on this guy. He did not write very much, but what he did write, he wrote this, that he said, the church is our mother and our teacher. That the church is generous, that the church is loving. Again, he recognized the teaching, not the people. And you're being lied to by this culture that tells you that your identity is wrapped up in who you sleep with. Your identity is wrapped up in what the world tells you. Your identity is wrapped up around Jesus Christ, who wants intimate, personal, loving, and life-giving communion. Let me put it like this. We live in a world today that says relationships are contracts between people. Like when I went to Verizon, I got my phone, they gave me a contract. And that's what so many young people think relationships are. They're just contracts between people. That's where we get phrases like friends with benefits, hit it and quit it. That garbage language that so many of you use to describe relationships where you treat each other as objects for pleasure and gratification. That is not God's plan for us. When God wants to establish a relationship with us, he don't establish no contract. He establishes a covenant. A contract is merely an exchange of goods. This is yours, this is mine. A covenant is an exchange of persons. I am yours, and you are mine. It's making a complete and total gift of yourself to someone. And that someone makes a complete and total gift of themselves back to you in love that is free and faithful and total and fruitful. It's a love that gives everything. A love that holds nothing back. Why? Because Jesus held nothing back of his love for us from the cross. He gave everything. And that's exactly what he expects from us. To give everything of ourselves. To help us to become the person he created us to be. Now, 2 quick examples and I'm done. Now, I used to be a fairly good musician. I played guitar in the jazz band at Notre Dame. So, if you play an instrument, you have to practice, don't you? You have to practice. Do you feel like practicing all the time? Nope, I didn't. Oh, come on, Dorian scale again, Locrian scale, Phrygian. Oh, come on. You don't feel like practicing. But hold on now. All the hours of sacrifice that you put in, the things that you put off. Oh, my friend wants to watch this video. I got to finish practicing first. All the sacrifices that you made to master that instrument. What is the end result? Not that you're able to play really well. You're now able to express yourself through the instrument. I once went to my brother-in-law was dating an opera singer in Portland, and they had a violin chair that was open. And I went to the audition to see who they're going to pick to play violin for the Portland Symphony. So they had these massive screens. They had 3 judges, and the people, they didn't know if it was a man or a woman. They just called number 1, number 7. And they all played the 3 same pieces. And I'm listening. I don't hear any mistakes. Not one mistake. How do they know which one to pick? What else are they listening for besides not making a mistake? Anybody? What are they listening for besides just not making a mistake?
Your personal artistic.
Yes! Yes! They're listening for your heart. They don't care. Okay, you play staccato here, then you play a arpeggio here, and then you end on the dominant fifth, you end on the tonic. They're listening for how you express yourself through the music. Are you saying through the music? Are you moving people emotionally? You know how when you hear a song, you just go, oh, God, I love that part. Oh, I love that. Because it's supposed to move you. Just playing notes doesn't do that. You have to, this lovely young lady said, you have to express yourself through this. You have to put your heart and your soul into it. My friends, the Holy Catholic Church is our music teacher. And guess what? I just showed you. When you follow the rules of playing music, they actually free you to become who God created you to be, to become the best musician you can. Commandments of our church don't enslave you like the culture wants you to think. Oh, you can't look at porn. So you can't have sex before you're married. You can't look at porn. You can't drink. You can't. So if you learn it like that, all the church becomes a bunch of rules. No. Virtue is when you say, I want to follow these rules because I know ultimately it's going to allow me to become the person who God created me, just like the musician. So you sacrifice sex. You don't do drugs. You don't do crazy stuff with your friends because you in your life, you're going someplace. Virtue is practice. Because ultimately, all the sacrifices that you're making right now, all the decisions that you're making right now is eventually going to free you. You become an unstoppable force in this world today. And I'm going to prove it. I'm going to give you a little fun example here. Now, one thing that I do in the parish, I do marriage preparation. I prepare young couples for marriage. Now, in our culture today, a lot of these couples are living together. Ooh, the church frowns on that, don't they? Not supposed to live together first. No, right? Why? Everybody says, see, the church is, the culture, see, the church is just trying to tell you what to do with your life. But why? Let's teach that, and I'll show you why. So I'm going to ask for two volunteers, a guy and a girl, to come up here. You're going to sit in these socially distanced chairs, and I'm going to put my mask on, and I'm going to go through an exercise. Now, here's the scenario. You are engaged to be married, but you're living together. You don't go to church. You know what? TikTok, that's your church. Instagram, that's your church. The only reason you're even coming to me because your parents won't pay for the wedding if you don't get married in church. So all you're doing is just punching the clock so you can get what you want. That's the attitude I want you to have when we go through this little demonstration. Now, okay, look. I know you guys are all Xavier students. I know you're good men and women, okay? When we're up here, we're role-playing. Now, because what you're going to want to do is say, oh, everybody's watching. I need to be myself. No, I don't want you to be yourself. I want you to be a jerk to me. I want you to be disrespectful to me, okay? Because we're going to have fun here. So if you can do that and not worry about like going back, because when I ask these questions, you're going to want to revert back to yourself and answer like you. I don't want you to answer like you. I want you that thinks like the culture. If you can do that, then I want a guy and a girl to come up here and have a little fun in the last couple minutes we have together. No takers? There we go. Come on, bro. Come on down. What's your name? John? Okay, John. Who wants to marry John? Oh, you laughed pretty hard there. He must not be a nice guy. How you doing, John?
Pretty well.
Good to see you, man. I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah.
Got your mask on and everything. Good for you, bro.
Yeah.
All right. You want somebody to play his fiance? This is only role playing and not really getting married here. This is just for fun. Oh, okay. Thank you. No. Come on, because she participated already. She gave some very excellent answers. A+ for you. So, and see, she's even gracious to give you a chance. Oh, you tall. Dang. Are you up there in that volleyball thing?
Yep.
Which one are you? 13. Oh, right, number 13 in the middle. You. Dang, man, I'm intimidated. I'm like a little short guy here. What's your name?
Eve.
Eve? Oh, like Adam and Eve.
Yep.
We got John and Eve. Okay. Now, mask on. Now, typically, when a couple like this comes, there's two ways you can deal with a situation like this. Two ways. One is what I call old school. You know what old school is. The old priest comes. Yes, Eve and John, I see you guys have the same address. You're living together?
Yeah.
Well, you know the church says that's a sin. And if you know you're going to do it, you're going to go to hell. And you know that if I hit him like that, what's going to happen? What are you guys going to do? If I keep spouting like that, hey, goodbye. Get out of there. They're going to get married at the hotel or on the beach. That's not what I do. Here's what I do. Now, I would normally shake your hand, but I ain't going to touch you because I don't want to get in trouble. Eve, nice to meet you. John, nice to meet you. Hey, how'd you guys meet?
At a bar.
At a bar. Very good. Very good. And what does your dad think of this guy?
Pretty dope.
Your dad think he's dope? Yeah. Excellent. And so I tell how I meet my wife. Everybody's feeling good. And I say, hey, John, Eve, I noticed here on the application you guys have the same address. You living together?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, do you plan on getting divorced after you get married?
No.
Why?
Because we love each other?
Because you love each other, really?
Yeah.
Huh. Let me see if I understand what you mean. So you love each other. So you would not then cheat on her. You would not sleep with somebody you're not married to.
No.
Then why are you doing it now? You sleep with someone you're not married to.
Oh, well, because we're going to get married.
Oh, you're
That's why
gonna get married. Ah, and you're so in love. Let me see if I understand what you're saying. So, Eve is quite beautiful and quite tall. So you guys get married. You're a month into the wedding. You get used to the feel of the ring on your finger. Now you're calling my wife, my husband. You get used to all that. A month into your marriage, she gets hit by a drunk driver. She becomes a quadriplegic. You have to spoon feed her, change her diapers, no sex for the rest of your life. That's the kind of relationship you're ready for? Hold on, John. You are, I can't touch you. You the man. Because this is exactly what happens in real life. Notice something here. Where's all the arrogance now? We in love. Till I hit him with that. See, now, know why he can't answer? I got him trapped. Because if he says, no, she's sitting right here. She's going to wonder how much he really loves her. If he says, yes, he's thinking to himself, dang, I'm only 25. I got my whole life and I got to spend my life changing her diapers. I don't want that. So he doesn't answer because he's not sure. I said, oh, you know what, John? I apologize. I should not have asked you such a difficult question. I take it back. Let me ask you something much, much simpler. If that accident were to happen to Eve tomorrow, would you still marry her?
Maybe.
Uh-huh. You see what just happened here? All the cultural stuff, oh, we're in love, out the window when you get hit of reality. And I said, let me tell you how I would answer that question. When I stood at that altar 26 years ago, and I put this ring on my finger, and I committed my entire life to her. I meant every word that came out is what I would do, John. I would go to my bishop. I would ask him to suspend my faculties to function as a deacon so I can spend the rest of my life taking care of my wife. And if you're not ready to do that, then don't get married. Playtime is over. We have too many parishes that are taking couples like this and making them look good for pictures instead of preparing them for a sacrament that lasts their entire life. Playtime is over. This is why the church teaches what it does. So that, see, right now he's getting free sex. He's paying half the rent. And she's thinking, oh, I'm doing this because one day he'll marry me. One day he ain't interested in marrying you. Why? He's getting everything he wants for free without any commitment. Because as soon as you get in an accident, he's gone. Know why? Because he doesn't have one of these. That's why the church teaches what it does. Because what's true, because that's what it means to give your life totally to someone, not this. This is the culture speaking, not Jesus Christ. Thank you. You guys rocked it, man. You guys, Eve, I hope you slam the ball down people's throat this year. Good for you. I hope you guys win the whole championship. John, you the man.
Thank you.
Out of all these examples I do, you were one of the best people I've ever used. Really? Wow. No, because they're back to themselves, but you just went with it. Beautiful job. Thank you both very much. You can go back to your seats. Thank you very much. I want to end with this. I'm going to talk a little bit about myself now. I'm an immigrant to this country. We immigrated to the United States. I became a citizen when I was 17 years old. I grew up in the hood in Newark, New Jersey. Most of the friends I grew up with are dead or in jail. My parents are divorced. I come from a broken home. My father was abusive and he drank a lot. I had two courses to go in life. I could have ended up like a lot of my friends did, or I could end up where, how did I get here? You know what? A very strong mother, for one. If it wasn't for the strength of my mother, I would not be the man I am today. And number two, take a look around. Where's the principal and the president? What teachers? Raise your hands or stand up. Teachers, counselors, coaches. You know why I'm here? Because of men and women like them. Let me give you a real life example. When I was a freshman in high school, I'll never forget. Now, I'm kind of old, okay? This was 40 years ago. I was a freshman in high school. My very first class, my very first grade was history. My very first exam was a history exam, Mr. Frank Mullen. Mr. Mullen, when he gave the test papers back, he'd walk up and down the aisle, and he'd turn your paper over on your desk like this. He'd keep going. He got to me. He put the paper down, and he kept going. I'm nervous. I'm 14. It's my first grade in high school. I'm like, ooh, I studied B+. Yes! And I did just like that. Yes! No joke. Mr. Mullen stopped. He backed up. He looked at me and he said, and you're happy with that? Now I'm saying to myself, yeah, I got a B. That's pretty good. That's not what he meant. What he meant was, you can do better than that. And until that point, no one ever pushed me. No one ever challenged me. No one except my mother really believed in me until that moment. And everything changed for me. Now, when you found out just now I went to Notre Dame, you know what, people, let me tell you a real life. When in January, when someone found, I was at a parish mission. When someone found out I went to Notre Dame, first thing out of their mouth, oh, what position did you play? I've never played football in my life. But yet, big black guy equal Notre Dame equals football. I got an academic scholarship. I busted my ass to get into that school. I had 1290 SATs, top 10 in my class. I worked hard to earn my way into Columbia and to Notre Dame. And I'm the first person in the history of my family ever to go to college. It's their love and their sacrifice and their commitment to the Catholic faith and to Catholic education. I'm the fruit of that. I'm the fruit of that. And all of you have an incredible opportunity here at Xavier. You may not realize it now because of COVID. It may not feel like it. But I'm telling you, you have an incredible opportunity to learn and to grow from some incredible adults here who love you. And I mean that with all my heart. I'm here because I love you. And when you think, I can't, it's too hard, think of me. My mother couldn't even help me with my homework. She didn't understand algebra. And how many times she went to work on the graveyard shift with holes in her shoes, rips in her dress, because we needed stuff. I learned the meaning of love and sacrifice from my mother and from my coach. In fact, in my first book, look at the dedication of my first book. I specifically write the names of my teachers in that book because I want to thank them. Because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be me. That's what the Catholic faith can do for you. So, my friends, I'm so honored to be with you. Thank you for having me. Now, I will leave you with this. Mark Twain once said the two greatest days of your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. I want to challenge you to allow the one your why. Amen. Thank you all very much.